You either got two ways to go as a business owner. You become either really jaded or realize I got to get smarter. When I see smoke, I got to look for fire.
His name is Scott Carpenter. You own 6 gyms that are either private or semi-private or hybrid of both. He also is the leader of a mentorship program that helps other similar gyms be as successful as he has.
It's not a nutrition program. It's not an exercise program. It's taking somebody by the hand and helping them build this into their life. What was the frustration you had before you came here? What's different about your journey this time? What are some of the changes you're seeing and how is it impacting your life?
So I'm sitting down with somebody that's actually local here in Scottsdale, Arizona, and I've known him for a while now. His name is Scott Carpenter, and Scott actually owns 6 personal training or semi-private training gyms. And he also is the leader of a program, a mentorship program that helps other similar gyms be as successful as he has with his. And I've gotten a chance to really get to know Scott really well over the last few years. We actually found out we go to the same gym, and we had what was scheduled to be like a 1-hour, like hot tub, cold tub type session. Ended up being like 4 or 5 hours. I probably burnt like 10,000 calories talking, which I don't think I've ever done before, just because we were going from sauna to hot tub to cold tub and all that stuff. But what I really, really enjoy is the conversations we have around business, as I think there's a lot of similarities. And I'm excited to learn more about his philosophies on business today. And so without further ado, Scott Carpenter, welcome to the Behind Gym Doors podcast. Let's go behind your gym doors, man. Let's start with that. So you own 6 gyms that are either private or semi-private or hybrid of both.
Yep.
Walk me through like that. Like, are they all the same brand? Are they different brands?
They're in 3 different brands. It was messy.
So how did that, was that intentional, unintentional?
Unintentional.
Okay.
I was a complete idiot when I first started. Okay. And it's just, I worked in a big box gym, worked for Lifetime Fitness. Always wanted to be an entrepreneur, needed to find a way out, but I didn't know the path. And I kind of stumbled upon it. And I did pretty well in Lifetime, started as a trainer, became an assistant manager, and then took a promotion to, this was in Scottsdale, to Goodyear, and became, ran the department, 20, 30 trainers on staff. Desperate to get out of there though. I'm just not a corporate guy. And found a gym on 7th Street that was for sale on bizbuysell.com.
Okay. 7th Street and what?
7th Street, Mountain View Road.
Okay.
And I didn't know that area at all. I'd only been living in Arizona for a few years from Chicago. And I bought it, quit my job, just crossed my fingers. It was losing money. And I took it from there. And, I really had no money because I had made a series of mistakes in investing in my early 20s when I started working in the corporate job. I ended up having 3 homes go into foreclosure.
After purchasing it or before?
After purchasing it. This is when I bought a home like right out of college, my first job, acquired 2 investment properties. I was young and stupid. I just wanted to make a lot of money. And then what happened in 2008, 2009 was that whole big real estate crash. So I had made a series of mistakes, destroyed my credit, destroyed everything. And I just basically ran from my problems. Went out to Arizona, started over, decided I'm going to do something I actually enjoy doing. And figure it out from there. So that's why I started as a personal trainer. But I had no credit. I had destroyed credit. I had no money at this point still. I paid down everything that I owed. And then I bought this with a little bit of seller financing and the spare change I had.
Okay.
And quit my job, and I had no choice but to make it work.
Okay. And so now you built this gym from not just zero, you built it from negative.
Yes.
And then you ended up getting it to, I'm assuming, very profitable because you now had confidence to open up 5 more.
You would think.
Okay.
But no, this is me being an idiot. So I got it where I was paying the bills.
Okay.
And then immediately in my head, because I was so dumb and I hadn't learned my lesson about going too big too fast, I was looking at other locations. I mean, this thing was probably doing, I don't know, $18,000 a month at that point. But for me and the low expenses, it was okay.
Yeah.
Right at this stage in my life. And, I called on equipment that was on Craigslist, buy old equipment for pennies on the dollar, even though I had no money to buy it. I had no place to put it. I don't know why I made the phone call, but it was a guy who owned a couple studios and he wanted to sell his second. And, so at the end of the day, he was selling that equipment for a friend, but he's like, are you looking to get a studio? I'm like, I'm looking to grow. I worked out a miracle deal where it was some seller financing, a little bit of cash, a paid in full, and a microloan from a not-for-profit lender. And I got a second location, rebranded it. And then less than a year later, maybe I bought his original location. At the same time, the landlord I had at the second location was begging me to like take a failed yoga studio at the Greyhawk location.
Yeah.
We were just talking about that. And I started one up with a partner there. So by the time it was like 2-3 years into it, I had 4 locations.
Okay.
And I was an idiot because I didn't have systems. It was still working it out. None of them were that profitable. Nearly took me down. You know how hard it can be, right? You have one bad guy who sinks a location and then you're all over the place. And it was a really tough period of my life. But I stuck it out and I figured it out, right?
Why did you stick it out?
I stuck it out because I didn't have any other options.
Okay.
So number one, I don't want to go back to a job.
You did. You just didn't want to go back to a job.
True.
So I'm gonna. If it's okay, I'd like to fix a story. I'd like to fix your story.
Like the Michael Burnoff the story.
I kind of have to because I don't think you were an idiot. I don't think you were dumb. I don't think you were stupid. I think you were ignorant. Right? Ignorance is a lack of knowledge.
True.
Right.
True.
You can't fix stupid.
That is true. That is true. You cannot fix that.
So you didn't become unstupid. You were just never stupid. You were actually very smart. You just were lacking information in the area that you could apply that brain to.
Correct.
Right. And so then you started acquiring it, whether through your experience or whatever, but you started acquiring it because just the fact of like, I had no options. You had options. Yeah. You were just smart enough to know that those weren't really good enough options.
Yeah. And a big piece is it took me so long. So, now I do a lot of investing, business acquisitions. I do real estate, infinite banking. Before I was financially ignorant, I had the right ideas, financially ignorant, and I learned from all that. I had to rebuild credit. I know how to get access to capital and clean up credit and do all those things. But I did dig myself out of a huge hole, owing hundreds of thousands of dollars. I didn't do bankruptcy.
Yeah.
And rebuild everything. And at that point, like when stuff got really hard in the business, it's like, I don't want to go back to that again. Because, at that point, I got like probably 3 or 4 personal guarantees on the leases. I didn't know how to negotiate those off at the time either, right? And so it's either like, hey, I can lead this whole thing, but with personal guarantees, and I'm going to cause a huge shitstorm in my personal life again. And so I just dug in. I stuck it out. I did I'm going to be there at 4:30. I'm going to be leaving at 8 p.m. for as long as I needed to do it. But that steeled my resolve. And so I am a big believer that the worst things to happen to you, or whether they happen to you or they happen because of you, the worst things ever are terrible when you're going through it. But given enough time, those things become the best things that have ever happened to me.
Well, the obstacle is the way.
The obstacle is the way. Yeah. And that is probably my most gifted book, particularly to people who are experiencing huge obstacles in their life, whether it's in business, personal life, whatever. I've bought and given that book away more than anything else. Because, and I listened to that audiobook multiple times. I read that book multiple times. It helped me through the worst period of my time when I had a newborn, right? And I had a guy who sunk 2 locations, and I'm one human trying to go to 2 locations. It was a terrible point. This was, I think, about 6 years into business, give or take. I had one guy who I trusted who turned out to be just somebody else. And he was very good at hiding it. It was like sociopathic level lying, and I didn't catch on to it fast enough. And nor did anybody else. I mean, he was just a different person to everybody, and he could play the blame game, and he made you feel sorry for him, all this stuff, but he was really good at it. And he took down 2 locations, just murdered them.
Okay.
He was sleeping with a female trainer and abusing his position. And then the other trainer was good friends, and it just caused a complete meltdown. And, he goes, takes all the clients a couple miles down the road and opens up a place. That whole story, But my big mistake in that was that, his fiance backed out like a week before the wedding. She probably found out some stuff. His dad died like a couple months later. And then that stuff kind of happened. So like I thought, hey, this is fundamentally a good person who made a bad decision because he's going through some horrible things in his life. And so instead of letting him go, when I got wind of some of this, and I didn't totally know the answers because nobody really knew the full truth of anything. I did interview everybody. But instead of letting him go, I let him go to my Desert Ridge location, and I went over there to fix that one. And he did the same damn thing over there. slept with a female trainer. I got wind that could possibly be happening. Immediately talked to her. She lied about it and covered it. Like,
So what'd you learn from what'd you learn?
Insane. What did I learn from that? So first off, you either got two ways to go as a business owner. You become either really jaded and defensive for the rest of your business life, or you just realize, like, I got to get smarter. I got to pick up on this stuff faster.
Take ownership.
And I got to ask the deeper questions and not let little things slide.
Mm-hmm.
And when I see smoke, I got to look for fire. I can't just ask about it. Like, I need to dig in and find it.
Yeah.
But it was a tough point in my life. And it was, it's in some ways, if like somebody offered me a 6-figure job, maybe I would have taken it. I don't know. But I had the personal guarantees, but I didn't really want to be an employee anymore. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Dug in, stuck it out. But that was the catalyst for me to learn so much. I said, I am never, ever going to allow myself to be in this situation ever again.
Yeah.
And that's when I went just all in. I'm learning everything. I'm reading everything. I'm joining masterminds. I'm hiring coaches. I'm going to events, right? I'm never going to allow myself to be this vulnerable ever again.
Yeah. So now, fast forward, you've got these 6 gyms that are now highly profitable. You're not really, when's the last, do you even go into these gyms?
Most I haven't been to in like a couple, 2, 3 years. I'm not that involved in my gyms anymore.
Okay.
In many cases, I'll have an operating partner now that is, a manager who's done well over years.
That's what I do on my gyms. Yeah.
Yeah. Bought into it. And that buys me security. They got great skin in the game. They get to get valued for what they bring to the table. So it's been a great arrangement.
Awesome. And you've got now you talk about high ticket. So you actually are known for teaching high ticket sales in this space. And so let's start by, like, what is high ticket? Like, how do you define high ticket in our world?
Yeah. And that's a great question, because some people, the original stuff, high ticket's $599. It's definitely not. Right. And so high ticket is not also paying in full for your membership for a year or something like that. That's not what it is. So a high ticket program is something that's probably 8 to 12 weeks. Like ours is 9, right? But 8 to 12 weeks. And it's something that somebody would sell for anywhere from $2,000 to $8,000. Okay. Now $10,000 is somebody has recently done.
Wait, so you sell a 9-week program for $10,000?
Correct.
Wow.
I don't. But one of the guys I'm just starting working with, brilliant guy, Mike Dragovich out of Chicagoland. But he's selling his at $10,000. His is 12 weeks, I believe, though.
Okay.
8 to 12 weeks. But bottom line is, like, we're all just selling workouts, right? We're selling better workouts mostly. It's like you talk about your workouts and why it's different, your little it factor, and there you go. My main thing is what I realized, and this is the thing, is like getting into fitness changed my life, because it gave me confidence, changed my body, all that kind of stuff. And fitness is just the catalyst. And the workouts are important, but let's not lie. Almost any workout can work for somebody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It doesn't really matter if you're into this or this or this or this or this. I like high intensity versus it all works to some degree for your average person, right?
Going for a walk and eating better will work.
Absolutely. It can completely change your life.
Right.
And so it's not really about the workouts. It's not like, say the average person comes in 3 times a week. Okay. It's not about the 3 times a week that they're coming into the gym and working out. Whether they get results or not is really all about the 165 hours in the week that they're not in your gym. Mm-hmm. And everybody's just talking about their workouts, whereas really the real work, whether somebody gets results or gets where they need to be, is the other 165 hours in the week. And the problem is, like, nobody is really talking about that. Nobody's selling that. Mm-hmm. A lot of people have nutrition coaching, but at the end of the day, that's extremely hard to sell. Yeah. People don't want nutrition coaching. It's, I know what to do. I just need to do it. Right. And the gyms that have nutrition coaching programs are selling it at like, $100, $120 a month. And you meet like once a month, maybe a couple times for your first couple months. Mm-hmm. And it's like pulling teeth to get them to make any changes because they're not mentally ready for it. They're just resisting you. They want to keep their wine. Can you give me, can you get like a meal plan? Okay. Do the meal plan. Can I sub this? Can I sub that? Why are we doing a meal plan at this? Right. Diets don't work. Meal plans don't work. They need to be taught how to make this change. Like for us fitness professionals who are going to be listening to this, we've changed who we are. Like fitness is just a part of our lives. It's really not that hard to stay fit. Mm-hmm. We work out, because we know we need to. And yeah, we have our indulgences, but we eat pretty well 80, 90+% of the time just because we know it's going to help us lead our best lives. And the thing is like anytime we put a diet in front of somebody, they're going to do it for 2 to 8 weeks max. Right. And they go right back to their normal stuff. So how do we make it easy for them to change their habits? And so that's kind of when I went down that rabbit hole, because I could sell nutrition coaching. I could get results. But anytime I tried to hand it off to another trainer or somebody to do, they couldn't keep them going. They couldn't make the change. And so I had to try and simplify a system. And so I kind of I read Atomic Habits. I read Tiny Habits, which not a lot of people know of, but that FOG behavior model is excellent. But that led me to create kind of a coaching program designed on how to make easy habits in their life. So you can build something that's going to be fun. It's going to be flexible so they can do stuff with their friends and family still. They should be able to go out and celebrate their kid's 10th birthday and have some pizza and ice cream. I do.
Right.
When they have their birthday parties, I do that. I'm in pretty good shape.
Yeah.
Right. They should learn how to do that. It needs to be fun, needs to be flexible. It's got to include foods that they actually like to eat. And it's got to be something that they can do forever. And it's actually, it took me like 14 years to figure out in the industry to figure out really how to do that and create that coaching model. But it's so simple. Less is more. And it's not about teaching them about gluconeogenesis and all that crap. Like we get so technical about it because we're fitness nerds.
Right. We got to give them basic rules.
Yeah.
Like just the guidelines.
But it's specific to them. Right. And their obstacles. And so a high ticket program, if you want to pull back the curtains, now it starts at the sale because you've got to get them ready to make change and wanting to make change. So that gets in the sales stuff. You got to peel back the layers of the onion and get them to see how it's really holding them back.
Yeah.
Right. But if we pull back on the fulfillment, it's pretty simple. The fulfillment is very simple. After the sales, we get them connected and have them fill out a questionnaire so we learn what their daily life is like. We have our onboarding session and we start to build out the habits that we're going to do. Less is more to start out with. And there's only a few different ways most people will go. Somebody who's been doing MyFitnessPal on and off and loves it, that's super easy. You know what I mean? It's just like, cool, let's give you that range and maybe a protein floor and work from there. But the nutrition, when it comes to somebody who's horribly addicted to food, is going to be different.
Right.
In some instances, you're just going to take somebody who just fast food, this and that, they eat whatever, take out all the time. You might just start with breakfast.
Yeah.
And we're just going to replace that with something you like, and we can shave off 500 calories instead of a McDonald's big breakfast. That's all we got to do for a while.
Yeah.
And,
Now, if I'm a prospect that's coming in, so really quick, high ticket, let's go back to the original. What was I know you got a $10,000 ticket, but what would you say is like the range? How would I know, what's a high ticket?
So I kind of do a three-tier pricing model. So when you're talking to somebody, some people just want to move, sweat, and have fun.
Okay.
Great. Let's just get you in with the workouts, right? But if you have a problem that you really need to solve, and it's not about just the weight, but how that weight affects them. It's like the real problem is not I'm 20 pounds heavier than I should be. The real problem is like I woke up, I feel like shit about myself.
Yeah.
I feel gross. I feel unhappy. I feel like I want to hide in my own skin. I don't feel confident, and I miss that. I don't even know who I am. That's what people are thinking and feeling, right? And so a high ticket program is that mentorship and onboarding, and you meet once a week to have these things. I can explain that later. But essentially, all we're doing is bolting on an onboarding and a half-hour thing that can be done in person over Zoom. That's it. And so if somebody has a really deep problem to solve, that's your high-ticket program. And so it's basically a mentorship, as we call it, not nutrition coaching, right? On top of whatever kind of workouts you do. And so if they're coming in, if it's a large group, you might sell your workouts. That could be $2,000, $2,500, $3,000 for anywhere from 8 to 12 weeks, depending on what's congruent with how you do things, right? And the good people will sell it for more. If you're doing semi-private PT, you might be $4,000, $5,000, $6,000. That being said, that's your standard high ticket. And that's great because if for some reason, hey, this sounds great. This is exactly what I needed. I just didn't know this existed. I really want to do this, but I'm a single mom. I'm a school teacher. I can't afford that.
Right.
That's where you'd have a mid-ticket, which is just kind of a stripped down version of it. And what if you had another program that's 80 to 90% of this, leaving no stone unturned, right? We're talking all the workouts that you need, custom nutrition program designed around foods that you actually like to eat, the accountability to make sure you're doing it and make modifications along the way. But that program is only Y dollars, right? So that's like if somebody is a 6-week challenge, Jim, your mid-ticket could be your $599. Most of the people I work with end up raising that because you're price anchoring maybe at $3,000 or $4,000.
Yeah.
Then you have, say, you raise your $599 to $7,000, $899.
But it'd be over what period of time? Same thing, 8 weeks?
Same thing. Or you could do it over 6.
So what does that look like? So let's say I buy from you, regardless of what I bought, mid-ticket, high ticket, it doesn't matter. I bought from you and it was this 12-week thing. At the end of 12 weeks, am I rolled into something that's more of recurring? Do I re-sign for the same thing? Like what is the plan for next?
So this
because
is cool.
I'm thinking attrition, right? I'm thinking like what happens after?
Yep. So a couple different ways. So no matter what, like when I work with a gym owner on doing this, we build into your specific model, all the nuances to make it as congruent as possible. So there are several different options because some people like to do it where it's that and it automatically keeps going on their MRR because the MRR is holy to them. Great. No problem.
And he keeps going at the same price point?
No, it'll go down into the next training only, or maybe you have a mentorship.
So if they bought something, let's say for, let's say $3,000 for 12 weeks, right? Which would be 3 months. Now, instead of it being $1,000 a month, it might go into like a $499 a month.
Correct.
Okay. And
But
they don't get everything. They don't get everything.
Correct. Okay. And the other way to do it is a 2-step. And this is really good because, man, when you nail this thing, because we teach people how to build this into your unique business model, teach you how to sell it, teach you how to fulfill it, and teach you how to renew it. When you nail the renewal process, man, they stay for they will be your longest staying people because you've truly helped them.
At the original or at the new?
So the couple different ways to do it. So let's say it's a 9-week program. You want to handle that renewal you don't want to handle it at the end.
Okay.
So, and you're going to lay the foundation on this. You say, hey, in this first 9 weeks, what we're going to do is build a solid foundation that we can take. And what we're going to do that you can take with you forever. And what we're going to do, we're going to sit down at week 6 and we're going to see the progress. We're going to analyze and see how you're doing on it. What needs to be done moving forward, right? So it's like, where are you at? How are you doing? And what do we need to do moving forward and start building out the next phase of your roadmap? So we prep up some questions to send to them at week 5. That gets them thinking more just about working out. It's, what was the frustration you had before you came here? What did that frustration feel like as you tried to solve that over the last 13 years? What's different about your journey this time? What are some of the changes you're seeing and how's it impacting your life? So then we have that conversation, right? And they get done telling you amazing stuff because they're going to get amazing results in this. And then that's where you flip into, the renewal and you start talking about, so like, look how far you come in just 6 weeks of taking deliberate action and doing the things every day and week to become the person that you want to become. Imagine where you're going to be 6 months from now. Imagine where you're going to be a year from now. And so that's when we roll it in. And a common way, you don't have to do it this way, but a common way we do it is that for the people who are doing well, you invite them into your alumni program. Say, listen, we can do this for another 9 weeks, right? But as I mentioned, when you first signed up, the people that I love working with that do put in the work and do great, I potentially would invite you into my alumni program. You're one of them. I love working with you. And so the alumni program would be, you lock them in for 6 or 12 weeks. Typically, you don't need to meet with them weekly at that point. And reason is because they've got a good handle on things, all that. And so you paint it for them. It's, you're doing fantastic. We could continue, for the next 9 weeks, we continue to meet weekly, but you're doing so well. I want to start teaching you how to do more of this on your own. So I want to give you more slack in the line for you to do this yourself and learn how to keep it up, but not so much slack that you hang yourself. You're not cured after 9 weeks of this. And so that's where you'd present your 6 and 12 week option. You'd lower the price, lock them in for MRR for a year at like $900 a month, whatever it is with your prices and your specific model and business.
Now, you say a year, is it like this is our annual price and we'll help you do monthly installments? Or is it here's our monthly price and we have to do a 1-year contract? Because I'm thinking now with the FTC laws, like how are you seeing that playing? Because now we're looking at how do we do a year a year cost. This is the price tag for the year. And then you can do monthly installments in order to pay it off. That locks in. Now we're not teaching it to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, not teaching it. We're not recommending it to everyone, because what we've learned is that really the only time we care about contracts is if we're having a hard time meeting that requirement, right?
Yeah.
So for example, let's say somebody has a, 5% attrition, right? They're only losing 5% of their gym members every month. Well, that means you're hanging on to people on average for 20 months.
Mm-hmm.
Having a 12-month contract isn't going to change much because your service is hanging on to people for 20 months.
Yep.
Right. So you not going month to month is fine because you've been going month to month and you're still hanging on to people for 20 months. But if you got like a 12% attrition, you're losing people every 8 months, because that's what it means. You're losing people every 8.33 months.
Yep.
Well, now having a 12-month contract could like increase if
Correct.
you don't have the ability or skill set to improve your service, right? Obviously, we always recommend build a better machine, but in that case, a 12-month contract that could extend your lifetime value by about 4 months. In this case, are you changing anything about that, knowing that, hey, it's a 12-month contract, we can't hold you to a contract. If you want to cancel, you can cancel.
Yeah. So again, it's going to be nuanced. If somebody's large group is being most affected by this ruling, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times, semi-private PT will be more session-based, right? And so
because it's not membership.
the way you can write it up is it's more session-based instead of membership-based, right? But
I don't know. I haven't studied into that, but I can see where there could be logic there.
Mm-hmm. And
so I guess your language would even have to change from like, you're not a member here.
Yeah. So
right? It would have to be you're a client.
Right. And I use the word client more often than member. And I mean, you can technically do that with large group too, or small group or something.
Yeah, I'm thinking about how that would work legally. And I don't know enough about it at this point. By the time this episode launches, I probably will know a lot about it because I'm thinking about it. I'm actually going to make a note. But
we'll share notes with our attorneys too, because I'm going to dive into it. I'll probably have, Matt Becker on my podcast or something like that, or introduce him to you. I'm sure you've got somebody you're talking to about it as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll be interesting to see where the black and white and the gray is and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, the highest I've taken hundreds of gyms through this at this point. The people that stay the longest are the people that go through these high ticket programs.
Okay.
And at the end of the day, I've not really heard of anybody bowing out of a contract on this. And everybody has different ways they enforce contracts, right? There can be early cancellations just written in there if they wanted to cancel early or something like that. But at the end of the day, your high ticket people, they're going to see the best results you've ever seen when you're following the fulfillment and actually doing a good job. And so they are you're just helping them in so many other areas of their life. It's not just what to eat and all that. It's such, the real battle is between the ears.
Right.
And they don't have anybody in their corner doing that. And that's why we call it like a mentorship. It's not nutrition coaching. You need somebody to take you by the hand and teach you how to build this into your life so that you can not just get the results, but keep them forever. It's not hard for you. You become somebody who looks forward to working out 3 times a week because you know it's going to help you live your best life. You're somebody who eats well 80, 90% of the time because you're going to feel better. It's who you are now.
Yeah.
I don't have to.
It's not about what you do.
Try.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Unless I'm going to Hawaii for 2 weeks and I'm going to take all these photos or something like that. Like I'm married. I stay in good shape and I don't even try.
Yeah.
I'm not special. I'm not genetically gifted. There's no reason this person who struggled with their weights and gone on 12 diets and tried 6 different gyms and workout programs in the last 9 years, and for all their efforts are 15 pounds over where they feel comfortable, and they are embarrassed sometimes to take their clothes off in front of their husbands,
Yeah.
That's how it affects these people. And it's not that hard.
No.
But it's not a nutrition program. It's not an exercise program. It's taking somebody by the hand and helping them build this into their lives.
Yeah. It's not about what they do. It's who they become.
Yeah.
And just getting away from the stuff everyone does. I think there's Romans where it's like, don't conform to the pattern of the world, but be transformed by reshaping your mind.
Yeah.
Something similar to that. Something close. I don't know if I got the end right. I think I got the first part right. But yeah, it's about transformation, which means you're going to become someone. And because you're that person, these are just the things you do now, right?
Yes.
Once you know you've become a basketball player, you just dribble. Like you just know how to dribble.
Journey.
You can do it while talking. You can do whatever you want.
It's the hero's journey. And the fact is when people just focus on the 20 or 25 pounds and they get there,
Yeah.
they never stay there because
Yeah.
they're just doing something unsustainable and they don't change who they are and they don't get control over their lives. They still have guilt about food and this and that. And it's a mentorship.
Yeah. 100%.
And this is, I believe in this so much because it's the right thing to do. And that's why I got into this business. That's because it changed me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I want to give back. And it took me 14 freaking years to figure it out because
Mhm.
I couldn't scale it couldn't teach other people how to do it until I developed I married up this coaching program that actually worked, this mentorship program with high ticket sales. Because the other important piece on this, it's necessary to charge that much because then people take this shit seriously.
Mhm.
It's necessary for them to invest money and sacrifice something because then they're malleable to change. And yes, the sales conversation, there's a couple things you need to do to make them see like, no, I'm actually ready to solve this.
And when it works, no one regrets
Once and for all.
spending the money.
Yeah.
You know, no one regrets it once it works.
No,
Yes,
not at all.
It's funny. There's a story I've told once. I don't know if you heard me talk about it, the jacket. Did I ever tell you about the time so there was this time I was at Nordstrom or somewhere. I don't remember where I was. And I wanted to get a new jacket. I hadn't had a jacket. I live in Arizona, so you just don't own jackets, right?
Yeah.
I haven't had a jacket, bought a new jacket in years. And so I go and I walk by and I see this jacket. I'm like, that's a nice jacket. And I put it on and it just looked good. I normally don't look good in jackets. I look good in this jacket. I'm like, this is perfect. And so then I look at the price tag and it was like $380. Now at that time, that was a lot of money for me. I put it back. And then I kept looking at other stuff and I kept coming back to the jacket. You know that feeling, right? You're like, all right, let me check it out again. And you keep like working on justifying it. And I did. I'm like, well, I haven't bought a jacket in like 10 years. So that's like, it's like $38 a year. And so I made that
cost per wear.
Right. So then I get to the cashier, I'm like sweating on the inside thinking like, I don't know how I'm going to, and it's $380 is terrible. And also she's like $400 and something dollars. I'm like, oh, tax, it's even worse. Swipe the credit card. And as soon as she swiped it and she gave me the bag with it, I felt great. People aren't afraid of buying the thing. They're just afraid up to that moment. And once the card is swiped and you get the bag, what do you think I did in the parking lot? I put it on. Like I couldn't wait. There was no more regret. There was no more remorse. It was immediately like, I felt great. Forgot all about the money. And I think a lot of people are like that with anything that they do that they know is going to feel good. It's going to make them feel like a better version. People just want better, right? For me, that jacket made me better, right? I felt better.
Yeah.
And so with this, I say the same thing. I'm like, look, I know it's uncomfortable. I don't say it to them, but in my mind, I'm thinking, I know it's uncomfortable. You're only uncomfortable until I get the credit card. Once I get the credit card, you're going to feel great. Right. And I know it to be true because you've seen it, right? They're like, sometimes you have to really coach someone there. And after they get it, they fold it up and they're like, man, this is great. And they start thinking about the next step. And you know what they do? Before they even fully go to bed that night, they're on Amazon, they're buying clothes, they're going to the grocery store, they're buying all the gluten-free stuff, all the organic, whatever. So it's like, I know you fussed about the money, but you just spent another $300 on stuff you wouldn't have spent if you didn't spend this. So I think people just really, they got to get past that discomfort of making a decision that normally used to making.
Yeah. And that's what it is. People are just afraid of making the wrong decision. And I had mine. It wasn't even related to the money behind it, but shoot, when I was going to, ask my now wife to marry me because I was just petrified of marriage, right? And so scared. And it was, I was picking out that ring at Tiffany's and all that kind of stuff and blah, blah, blah. Scared to death. Like, is this even the right thing? All this kind of stuff. Once I bought that ring, and maybe the money was part there, I don't know. But once I bought that ring, it was just like a wave of calm. I'm like, yeah,
bullets out
exactly
of the gun.
Supposed to. Yeah, it was wild.
Bullets out of the gun.
Instantly after I paid for it and got the bag, I'm like, yeah, I absolutely want to marry her.
You ever have to fire that one employee that you don't want to fire because you care about them? You feel like they're a good person. You've invested into them, and you're just like, it's the right decision, but you don't want to fire them, so you procrastinate, you delay it.
It feels so good once
or when they put in their notice, right? And you're like, yeah. So it's the pain. We're really just not wanting that pain.
Agreed.
Selfish. But once we get past it, it's great. Okay. Last thing I want to dive into, because you have this interesting concept we talked about in our hot cold session. And then we talked about it at your house a little bit. You're very passionate about helping gym owners build passive income and achieve what you call indestructible wealth. I think that's what it was.
Indestructible.
Right? Indestructible wealth. And so I guess Where did this come from? And like, in short, like, what is it?
Yeah. So like, I destroyed everything, right? I went hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt.
Yeah.
I destroyed my credit. Like I never checked it when I was at, it's got to be below 500, right? I had to dig out of that. I had to pay off credit cards. I had to pay off judgments. It was bad.
Mm-hmm.
And, I started getting successful in business. Then I had that big setback. But at the end of the day, like what I was smart about was when I started making some real money, I didn't just increase my quality of life. I didn't jump in and buy the $80,000 car and the big house and this and that, because I never want to be that broke and that month to month and hand to mouth ever again.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did, luckily enough, I learned from this and I was really smart with my money and I pulled all my money into an infinite banking policy. And then I used, which I'll explain, and then I use that money whenever I see a great investment. I use it to invest in another gym. I bought real estate, which has performed phenomenally for me. I've got long-term rentals, short-term rentals. I've got commercial real estate that has made me quite a bit, right? And I've also acquired other businesses, pieces of other businesses, like I do sword fighting, right?
Right.
Acquired part of my favorite sword manufacturer, do that. So I can invest it how I need it. And the traditional route, the Dave Ramsey route, is don't ever spend money.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Don't you dare buy that Starbucks. Do you have any idea how much money that's going to be when you're 75 years old and decrepit, right? So there's all that. And the issue is, if you're an entrepreneur, you want a business, you are interested in your business, in growing your business. You are probably interested in real estate. You march to the different beat, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like, well, let me throw all my stuff in a self-directed IRA or 401k or something like that and never spend money and hope shit works out. Like, we need access to our capital as entrepreneurs because we can take that money and we can recognize something we can invest in that's going to yield way more than something like that, right? You're doing it in a lot of different ways, a ton of different ways. I don't even know about them all. And we also can't just keep that money in a savings account getting eaten up by inflation. And I mean, holy cow, if COVID was a wake-up call for anything, if you got a cash, that eroded by 30%.
Yeah.
Savers are losers. I mean, it's terrible. So, but if you throw it in a tax-advantaged account, stocks, bonds, and all that kind of stuff, whatever that is, you also can't access that. And so infinite banking, this is what Walt Disney used to start Disney World. Banks would not lend him money. Banks would flat out not lend him money. They're like, this concept of Disneyland is absurd, and we're not giving you the money. Luckily, he created his own bank inside of this infinite banking policy, loaned the money to himself, and just did it, right? And so essentially what it is, it's wrapped around a whole life policy. But here's the rub, is like a whole life insurance policy. So it has benefit to your heirs and your family, because if you died, your family could be in a lot of trouble, right? So it protects them for life. And most whole life insurance policies, you hear like, don't buy that ever, right? Skip that, get term life insurance and invest the difference in stocks and bonds and stuff like that. That doesn't work. Like, that's not what wealthy people do. That's what middle class people do to stay in the middle class for the rest of their lives. But wealthy people use infinite banking. You look at like Rockefellers versus Vanderbilts, right? Two tycoons. Vanderbilts didn't do any of that. They just did the normal stuff. And within 3 generations, they ran through all that money. The Rockefellers protected their money by creating infinite banking policies for every member of their family and controlled some of it with trusts. They're still, to date, many generations later, 200 and some members, some of the wealthiest people in the United States.
So I guess I'm still unclear. Infinite banking, like, break it down in the simplest way.
Simplest way. So it's technically whole life, but designed for the insurance part is so small. It's kind of like a Roth IRA on steroids. Roth IRAs, you put your money in there and it's going to forever grow tax-free. You will not get taxed when you pull it out, unlike your 401ks and other stuff. But there's strict limits on it. This is basically like a Roth IRA on steroids. You take the profits of your gym, you put it in there, it's going to grow at pretty much a flat, around 6% per year. It's never really going to go up or down, but that's tax-free forever, which ends up being more like 7 3/4. Guaranteed. Like, well, it's not technically all guaranteed, but 177-year history, yes. So anyways, You put it in there. But the brilliant thing is you can get access to that money whenever you want. So all that money is going to grow tax-free forever. I'll be 95 and it's spinning off tax-free income that I can get access to and pull it out whenever I want it. And so by itself, it's a great tool.
So you can pull it out like even right now tax-free, or do you have to wait for the tax-free to kick in?
The loophole is that you don't technically pull it out. You technically loan it to yourself. And so when I bought that house in Flagstaff, right? My first one, I put in $100,000 a year for 7 years is how I designed that policy and put it in there. So I'm putting in $100,000 every year. You do not have to start it that big. But in 3 months, I actually pulled out, I think 60 or 70 grand to buy that place in Flagstaff, which I knew was going to be a slam dunk. It's our vacation family. It's our long-term rental. That thing has been printing money and it's appreciated $250,000, $300,000. I can't just keep that money sitting there all the time. So anyways, I have it in there. It's earning 6% tax-free. Instead of pulling it out, I technically get a loan against it. And then I bought that house. It's still growing like it never came out though, the full amount, because I technically have a loan against it. That loan is currently at 5.3%.
And so you got arbitrage right there.
You can get some arbitrage, and it's kind of complicated in a way, but it's not. It is literally the safest investment on the planet.
So how long do you have to pay that loan back? Are there terms to the loan?
There are no terms. So the brilliant thing is...
So you don't have to pay it back for 20 years?
I don't have to pay it back ever if I don't want to. So I can pay it back like a normal mortgage. I can just throw money at it when I get extra
because
chunks.
You're the lender.
Right. So it also goes by, if you've ever heard of like become your own banker, be your own banker, like the Nelson Nash books, it's essentially that. Because essentially what happens is that when I decide to pay that, or if I decide to pay it back, that interest kind of goes to me instead of going to Chase or to Wells Fargo or whatever. And so think of infinite banking. It's not like a traditional investment. Like I can invest in this house, or I can buy this business, or I can buy stocks, or I can buy Bitcoin, or I can do whatever. Think of it as like the and investment. I'm going to put my money in there, right? So I'm going to put in the infinite bank policy, and I'm going to buy stocks, and I'm going to buy real estate. Because if all my money is in stocks and I want to do something else with it, like when the stock market crashes, if all my money's in there and it dips 25%, that's when it's on sale. That's when you want to buy it. But if all your money's in there, you can't do that. Right. And so I am prepared for any kind of a recession, volatility, right? Because I can take advantage of that. If the real estate market dumps, the stock market dumps, that's when I'm going to jump on investments. So
let's say you got your money in there. Let's just call it 100 grand, even numbers, 7.5% or 7.25%, whatever it is that's getting the return, tax free. So you're definitely beating inflation.
Yeah.
Where is that money technically sitting? Like, do you have to partner with someone, or like do you have to work with a certain bank that specializes in this one thing or insurance? And do they get a cut? Like, what's in it for them?
Yeah, good question. So I'm a very skeptical person because I've been through a lot and I've fallen for a lot of stuff. And being a business owner, you get pitched scams upon scams upon scams every week of your life. So I was very skeptical about it, even though it makes sense on paper. My degree's in economics. I understand finances very well, all that kind of stuff. I'm a numbers guy. But I was skeptical of it. I mean, once I started learning more, I got more comfortable with it. But I was still like, what don't I know, right? So, but I started doing it, and I, in turn, when I found great investments, used it, recycled it. I built a pretty awesome portfolio, cash flows very well. I created a lot of passive income, and I used the same dollars twice, which is brilliant.
The same what?
The same dollars twice.
Got it.
And you extend that over a period of 10, 20, 30, 40. It's insane what it does. So here's what you have to do, though. You have to get it through an insurance agent or producer. You can't get it yourself.
Okay.
The problem is most of these guys do not, when you hear whole life is garbage, don't do it. Most of it is. It is. Because they build these policies where how the companies teach them to maximize their commissions. That's just the game. So you have to find somebody. The only way this works is you have to find somebody willing to build these things where they take the least amount of pay. The absolute least amount of pay. That's how these things get lucrative. They suck if somebody's not doing that. And so I actually started doing this. So I got licensed myself. So I learned all this kind of stuff. I've been using it for like 5 years. I got licensed on it. I don't even advertise that I build these policies, but I probably built 20 for the people that I know, mostly gym owners, over the past year or so. And because I don't care. It's not how I make my money.
Right.
And I design them for those person's best interest, which means I naturally have to get the lowest amount of commission. So it's the agents, and then there's these different companies. They're not banks. So some of the leading ones for infinite banking policies are Penn Mutual is really good. That's really who I build most of my policies with. But Mass Mutual is good. They're mutual companies. And so the companies make money, but who owns the company? They're mutual companies, which means the people who own these companies are the actual policy owners, almost like a nonprofit, right?
Right.
So the reason they perform so well and have such great distributions is that the profits of the company go back to the policy holders. And that's a big thing. You're cutting out all the middlemen. There's no companies. Like, it goes back to you. You own the company.
Sure.
And so those are two key things. It's got to be done by a mutual company that is designed for these kind of policies. Some of them just don't do this stuff. And then you need a licensed agent or producer who will design it in your best interest, not theirs, which is extremely hard to find. Those are the two caveats. And like, if I know somebody's date of birth, like, I like to talk to somebody like, okay, what's your kind of like leftover sweep amount? Like, after with your business is bringing in whatever, you got your personal expenses and you living relatively comfortably, what is that leftover amount, right? Every month. And then are there any things that you're building towards? Home purchases, maybe you want to buy your building for your gym. Maybe you're contributing to a Roth or contributing to something like that. But I like to get somebody a snapshot and try to build a plan that's going to be work for them. Then I can just take those numbers and you can throw it in. And the brilliant thing is, it's what you see is what you get. You know what you're putting in, and you really only have to kind of put it in for 5-7 years,
right?
And design it that way. You can do it for longer, but then you know exactly what it's going to be in year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, and there's nothing invisible. There's no invisible fees or expenses or stuff like that, or gotchas. Like, you look at 401ks, you look at actively managed mutual funds, which your Edward Jones advisors are going to get you in. They are robbing you.
Yeah. I learned about that. There's a lot of little things.
It's disgusting.
Yeah, there's a lot of little things you don't catch early on. A lot of little
They're going to take 40 to 60% of your wealth, and you will never know it when you work with those guys.
Yeah, I remember 401ks. When I was an employee, I was like, oh, who's got 401k? Who's got 401k? And then I realized it's more of a selling tool, to get an employee than it is an actual value to the employee.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I know you said you help people with this. Like, can you help people with this, or is it only something you do for like your friends, or what do you do?
No. So this is where I'm
because I'm interested in like understanding that.
Yeah. I'm going to be doing it more and more and more. I love this more than anything because I've been on the receiving end of bad financial advice and all that kind of stuff. And at the end of the day, like, you only need, for a lot of us, if you just be smart the next 3 to 5 years, be deliberate, you never have to worry about money again. Like, it doesn't take much. You could throw cash. I have a cash flow cycle. Like, determine what your sweep is, temporarily put in a high yield savings account where you're going to get 3.5%, 4%, right? Where it just sits for a minute, make your annual thing into your infinite banking policy. And then you basically choose what you want to invest in. I'm not dumping on stocks and bonds. You can do that. Okay. It's simple. It's easy, right? There's advantages to it. There's disadvantages to it, like any investment. You could do it with other business acquisitions. You can do it with real estate. There's a lot of paths, but that path, that's fine. Determine that. But infinite banking is an intermediary step, and you're going to earn a return in 2 places at once over the long haul. And so it's phenomenal for almost anybody. And there are some people who I'm like, not now, not for you. But yes, I will take people on for it. This is something I'm so passionate about that it's occupying more and more of my time, because you can set your whole family up. You and your whole family never have to worry about money ever again.
Yeah.
And you can work because you want to, not because you have to. That is what we all get into business for.
Yeah, yeah.
It's it. So we can have the freedom to live life on our own terms.
I love it, brother. And I know that I think we're having you at our event to talk a little bit more about that. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
When is, how can people reach you?
Facebook is where I'm at the most. Not a lot of people use it anymore, but Instagram is at Coach Scott Carpenter.
At Coach Scott Carpenter.
At Coach Scott Carpenter. And then I kind of have an interim website of theprofitlifestyle.com. And one of the menu bars up there, you can go to an infinite banking tab. And I have 2 videos on there that explains, hey, here's the high level of overview of how it works. And the second one is like, I'm going to open up a policy and show you. And I'm also going to show you a good policy versus a bad one. Mine, it would have cost me over $2 million.
No.
Because I had an agent that was going to take looking out for him and not for me. You got to get a trusted person doing this. I cannot tell you. I was able to switch Taylor, his policy, saved him $1.5 million. I just switched it. He's putting in the same amount of money, do the same thing, $1.5 million difference.
Yeah.
Because you extrapolate that over 30, 40 years.
Yeah. Different.
Yeah. So anyways.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Cool. Guys, hope you got a lot of value. By the way, this was not financial advice, but this is one person sharing his experience and how he leverages his finances and invests his money. But also just really enjoyed learning about your story for the semi-private gyms, how you really built those up, how you do the high ticket stuff, and then how you take the money that you make and then be able to make it more for you and not falling for the conforming to the pattern of the world, right? What everyone does. So I appreciate you being on the show, brother. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Mike. It's been great.
For everybody watching, everybody listening, thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you next time.